What if I told you I could double your sales team's revenue without hiring a single new rep? Most B2B revenue teams in 2025 are burning cash, hiring new sales reps, and placing them into broken sales systems. They're spending $10K plus per year on expensive tech only to miss their growth targets. Smart revenue leaders are using Clay to multiply their existing team's output without adding any new headcount. Now, if you don't know me, my name is Isaac Wood. I'm the founder of levergrowth.io. We're a prospecting and go-to-market agency working with B2B revenue teams to help them add more revenue per sales rep. We build automated systems that let one salesperson do the work of 5, all without the $75,000 per year salary, benefits, or additional training costs. Now, in this masterclass, I'm going to show you exact Clay workflows that I've used to help my B2B financial client generate 36 new qualified leads and close a $96,000 per year client with their existing team without hiring any new bodies. This is not about working your current reps harder. It's about giving them a system that automates 80% of their manual work so they can focus solely on their highest leverage activities, selling. I'm going to walk you through how to build automated lists that eliminate hours of manual prospecting, the exact Clay enrichments that qualify prospects before your reps even touch them, how to create personalized outreach at scale without increasing headcount, and the lead scoring system that ensures every single call is with a qualified buyer. And by the end of this video, your existing sales team will be equipped to generate 5 times more results without you having to post another job listing, conduct another interview, or pay another salary. So the big picture, instead of spending $75K per year on each new SDR or sales rep who wastes 80% of their time on manual tasks, what if your existing team could access a system that automatically delivers them a daily list of pre-qualified, scored prospects with personalized talking points ready to go? That's exactly what I built for my financial services client. And their single SDR went from spending hours building lists on LinkedIn Sales Nav to having 1 to 2 qualified leads delivered directly to their inbox every single morning for them to reach out to, for them to follow up, and to actually engage and nurture into sales opportunities. This is complete with email addresses, phone numbers, and specific personalization data. The result, we closed a $96,000 a year deal in just 3 weeks because their rep was spending time selling instead of searching. So here's the thing, this is not magic. It's a systematic approach to list building that I'm about to break down for you step by step. Most companies are using the basic filters in ZoomInfo and Apollo, like industry, company size, location. But that approach misses 70% of your total addressable market and includes tons of bad fits that will waste your team's time. And so what I'm gonna show you is walking through beginner workflow so you can see exactly how this works. Then I'll show you the advanced systems that my highest performing clients are using to generate 10 to 20 qualified calls per month. And by the time we're done, you'll never have to manually build a list again. And so let's dive into the exact Clay workflow that will transform your prospecting machine from time wasting manual process into an automated revenue machine. Let's dive into these workflows. This is the beginner workflow. So we're going to start here, right? The goal is to build out a targeted list inside of Clay. So the first step is just build a list of good fit companies. Then we'll enrich the person and the company using the LinkedIn integration. We'll find work emails using personal LinkedIn profiles. Then we'll build out personalizations. So the personalizations that we'll use just in this example are determining if a company is B2B or B2C. We'll determine what type of customer they are actually selling to. And then we'll find case studies on their website. Step 1, build a list of good fit companies. So first you'll be inside of Clay. On the home page, you'll be on My Workspace. So what you'll do is select Create New and then select Table. Select Find Companies Data Source and set your filters, just like so. Once you're happy with your filters, select Import Companies. You can choose to add enrichments using the toggle on import options. Note the additional cost by adding these enrichments without an API key, but then you'll select Continue for free. So now let's, as an example, this is our list of companies. We had 11 to 50 employees, advertising services based in the United States. That would basically be considered our total addressable market or our TAM. So now we'll want to enrich person and company using LinkedIn integration inside of Clay. So now we have a list of ideal fit companies. We'll want to find and enrich those contacts so we can actually do the outreach. So first we'll go back to My Workspace. We'll set up a new table, this time selecting Find People. So under those companies, select Clay Table to find the people from the table you just created, select the table and then leave the default settings. Then filter for your ideal customer personas, select Import People, then Continue for free. right? So in this case, we are going to be searching for CEOs and founders of advertising companies, right? So we've first created our company lists, and now inside of our company lists, creating people lists. So now that we've filtered down our list to all of the relevant contacts we actually want to reach out to, we need to get their email addresses. So we can use any of the find work email enrichments to collect their email address, right? So the great thing about Clay is they have all these built-in integrations. And so you can just pay each credit depending on which your preferred providers are. They also have a built-in waterfall that's really helpful. But ultimately, if you have APIs, you can plug those in and, say you're paying for Find Email already, that will then just use credits inside of Find Email instead of the 2 credits per row as shown here. Next, you'll want to map your fields. So you'll have different columns inside your Clay table, map first name or full name, and then map the company domain and then select save. Now you'll have a list of email addresses that you'll want to reach out to. Make sure that you're validating these email addresses. Inside of the find work email waterfall, there will be a section you can toggle to validate your email addresses. So now let's build out some personalizations. They can make a huge difference in terms of reply rates. They also help with deliverability because personalized messages are more unique and therefore less likely to get marked as spam or picked up by spam filters, right? So next steps are to create a few personalizations you can use. And note, these are only limited by your imagination. I'm just showing you how to actually implement these. And again, you can apply it to your own use case. So let's determine if a company is B2B or B2C. So understanding if a company is B2B or B2C is important because if you're selling to B2B audience, then you honestly only want to target companies that work with other businesses, not consumers. It's pretty intuitive, but the fact of the matter is there will be companies that slip through the cracks in any sort of list building process. So a company might sell to both, and that is potentially detrimental to the list if you only want companies who sell to one or the other, right? You can then use this to call out the fact that they're B2B in your copy, or you can use this classification to score your list for prioritization purposes down the line, right? So we'll use Claygen to do this. Claygen is Clay's, I would say it's their flagship feature, one of their most amazing tools. It basically just combines Google search with web scraping and ChatGPT. So you can create a prompt and it will do research on whatever website you can have inside of your Clay table, right? So in this case, our prompt is pretty simple. We'll scrape the web and the company LinkedIn description to determine if this company, and then you insert the merge field, which is the company domain, is B2B or B2C. So B2B companies sell to businesses, B2C companies sell to consumers. If they're B2B, output B2B. If they are B2C, output B2C. If they are both, output B2B and B2C. If you cannot determine which, output cannot determine. And then here's the company LinkedIn description. Then you include that as a merge field as well. And so you can see here, these are some of the results that we got. So most of the companies are in fact B2B. There's one that it could not determine. And so this is what the actual results look like. And so what you can do here is you can actually map these to their own column, which will then use to score the leads or do additional research. Okay, so now we'll determine what type of customers they sell to. So understanding the type of customer a company sells to is important because it shows you how you've done the research on them and you can make their copywriting way more specific based on their actual situation. So if you understand who they sell to, then you're also way more likely to understand what they do, their value proposition, and the problems that they face. The overall benefit of this personalization is building rapport much more quickly, right? If you can communicate to a customer the type of customer that they're selling to and the problems that they're solving, you're going to build way more trust versus a blanket spray and pray message to somebody where you're just kind of guessing, right? So this is an example prompt you can use to actually understand who their target customer is. So based on the company description, who would be their main target customer? Describe them in at most 3 words. For example, restaurant owners or financial leaders. Don't include any other characters and give the answer in lowercase only. And then here's the description. So you include the company LinkedIn description and you'll see the results are here, right? So you'll notice with any of this prompting, you'll want to give it some formatting instructions. And so the formatting instructions are helpful because it allows you then to do research against it more systematically. It also allows you to use it as a merge field. So, you can use small business owners or digital marketers as a merge field in your copy, which would look more natural than digital marketers or small business owners or blank, blank, blank. That's not going to really work out well for you. So if you give it some specific examples, then that will create a more consistent output. And a consistent output allows you to use it as a merge field, which allows you then to actually plug it into your campaigns and your copy. All right, so now let's find some case studies on their website. So finding out and calling out prospect case studies is another personalization. It shows you've done your research, right? The overall benefit of using this personalization is to build rapport with the prospect by showing you've done an extra layer of research to actually understand them and their situation. To do this, you'll use Clayagent, and you'll just use the following prompt. So find one case study for the following company. Here's their website, and then you insert company domain as the merge field. And a case study is usually proof of success that a company can get results for other companies or people. Only look at the provided website. Do not Google search elsewhere. It will be found on one of the following pages: our work or our case studies or testimonials or past work or portfolio or project or clients or review section. Do not return the name of the company. Return just the name of the company that is the case study. If you cannot find one, return none found, right? So you can see here, it comes back with a few kind of wonky-ish answers. And so what you'll want to do then is just continue to refine your actual inputs to get a consistent output. In this case, POM medical would be good. RMA could potentially be good. The Kentucky Derby trifle could be good as well. But again, right, if you have the case study, you can use that as a merge field in your copy. People often ask, like, if I'm not getting a result and I want to use this as a merge field, what do I do then? You'll have to just create a fallback. So you'll create a secondary column and create your personalization in there. And so if it's empty or if none are found or if it's giving some weird response, then you'll just want to create a standard blanketed kind of boilerplate response that you'll use. And that will ultimately just allow you to use the data that you found. And then if you don't find data, you can have something that's boilerplate. Now you have fully enriched lists with 3 hyper-specific personalizations. And we did that in a matter of minutes, right? So super, super powerful, done very, very quickly. Here is a credit saving pro tip. So most of the time people use Clay, they say, oh, it's really expensive. That's a big problem. If you want to save on credits and prevent accidentally running an entire column before you finalize your prompt, you can turn off auto update columns. This will save you a ton of credits, especially as you have to test new prompts to get desired outputs. And so you do it here. It's also going to be in the bottom right of your window. You just deselect auto update columns, you turn off the table, and then it will only run when you actually engage it to run and hit the play button. So now let's do an end-to-end workflow for advanced users. Okay, so our goal is to build a Clay table with the following enrichments. So we'll find and scrape a list of good fit companies using Instant Data Scraper. We'll import that list into Clay. We'll enrich companies using specific technology. We'll enrich for company description. We'll normalize a company name. We'll enrich the company niche industry. We'll enrich to find target company's ideal customer profile. We'll enrich company to find company CEO. And then we'll enrich CEO's valid contact information. All right, so we'll create our company list. You can use a bulk data source like Apollo. You can scrape web data from Crunchbase. You can use Google Maps to create your company list. Any data source you can find, you can use your lists. Oftentimes, niche-specific data sources are going to be your best bet if you're in a niche that has a data source available in terms of finding those really high-quality fit companies. So I'm just using Instant Data Scraper inside of Crunchbase. Instant Data Scraper is a free Google Chrome plugin. You can go find it. It's got a Pokeball as the logo. Go find that, and you can scrape data using that. It's really one of the simplest, easiest way to scrape data at scale. There's going to be limitations there, but again, we're just getting started here. Use this tool. So once you have your company list, save it down as a CSV, select import companies from CSV inside clay.com. Okay, so now you'll want to understand which technologies are used by a company. This will indicate their potential to buy or need a specific solution in the future. So Clay has an integration with builtwith.com, which is used to find out what technologies websites are using or they're built with. You can find almost any relevant technology using this tool, but in this case, we'll use HubSpot, right? To do this, either select Add Enrichment button at the top right, then select the Built With enrichment as so. Now you'll enter your prompt by mapping the correct company URL and include the technologies you'd like to search for. Save and run your rows, And now you can filter out any company that does not use the relevant technology, right? So this is the prompt. You just include the domain name. You can use a specific technology. You can use a general category, or you can honestly just leave it open and it'll pull down every single technology that the company is using. And then from there, you'd want to just do a lookup against the column to find the relevant keywords. But in this case, we're just going to use HubSpot. So now we'll want to enrich company description. So this is a cornerstone data point in our enrichment process. We can use this data to understand the company's industry, their service offering, their specialization, their ideal customer, and way more, right? So this is a very high leverage enrichment because you can create an infinite number of personalizations using this data. Now, if you're building the company list inside of Clay, it will already come with the company description from LinkedIn. If you're finding it from an external data source, this is going to be relevant for you, right? So pulling lists from certain databases are going to have those company descriptions, but inside of Clay, this is how you'll do it. So we'll use Apollo enrichment via the API key. This will require the Apollo subscription, or you can use LinkedIn company enrichment. That's a Clay integration. That's going to cost you a credit per row. You can pay somebody to manually do this, or you can use Clayagent, which is my preferred method. You can use Clay credits for this, or you can use the OpenAI API cost, which ultimately is a fraction of a cent per row. So for this example, I'm going to use Clayagent to show you how to enrich a company description. There's a couple ways to go about this. You have the company LinkedIn URL. You can use Clayagent to pull the company's description directly from LinkedIn. I like to use this because the output is generally succinct. It gives a clear explanation of the company's service or product. You can also use the company's domain. Test whichever you prefer. If you're doing it from LinkedIn, it's going to be much more consistent output, a much more structured output. If you're going off the domain, is going to be very much dependent on what kind of data it can find on that website. All right, so we'll enrich company description. So to do this, add a new enrichment, select Clayagent, and here's the prompt that you can use. Very simple. Visit company LinkedIn URL and return the company description. This output should be the company description and nothing more. As you can see, these are the results. That's what the actual company description is from LinkedIn. And again, you can click into it and map to its own field. You can see what steps it took. You can see the different reasoning. And I use this to just confirm that it's accurate and ultimately make sure that it's finding the right stuff for you. Next, we'll normalize the company. So when doing outreach, it's a really bad look to reference a company name in an email, having it show up like Apple Inc., Microsoft Corporation. It'll immediately raise the prospect's resistance. It'll indicate A, you really don't care about them or their company, and B, you're sending automated mass messages. We'll normalize company names to solve for this. So here's a prompt you can use to start. So this is going to be a formula generator. So this is its own enrichment. This is completely free. And so what you do here is just describe a formula. You'll hit generate the formula and then it'll create it in JavaScript. So this will take some tweaking depending on whatever kind of formula that you're actually trying to create. But in this case, this has worked based on the example that I'm showing you here. So normalize, insert merge field company name by making it camel case, removing any Inc., LLC, GmbH, formerly, etc. Right? And you can see all of these company names come back clean. So you can use the exact industry the company is in without having to rely on broad industry filters when you're enriching a company's niche. So information services, marketing or advertising, that's going to be a broad industry. And again, if you use that as a merge field, that's going to indicate to somebody like this person probably doesn't actually care or know much about me. By enriching for that niche, this allows you to get super specific in your messaging and your filtering. So if you can call out a specific niche in an email, then you're going to have a much better chance of the message landing with the audience versus a fairly broad message, right? You can use Clay's integration with ChatGPT to create a prompt that will return the industry. And you can also use industry exclusions if you want to avoid targeting industries you know are bad fits. So to do this, select ChatGPT generate text as an enrichment and then enter the below prompt. To test your prompt, you'll scroll to the bottom of the enrichment pop-up and select try on 5 rows for free. Then you can tweak your prompt to ensure you get your desired result, right? So here's the prompt. Based on result, domain name, and company name, give me the broad niche this company is in. The output should be less than 4 words and should only be the industry. Do not return things like the company name is in. Only return the industry. If the output contains the word software development or managed IT services, then return NA as the value, right? That's just an example that last piece there, that'll allow you to disqualify companies that are coming back as bad fit. So now we'll enrich to find a target company's ideal customer profile, right? We'll know the specific industry vertical of our target company. Now let's do some research to understand who they're actually selling to. If you can correctly identify your prospect's customer, there's a higher likelihood they will perceive you as somebody who understands their business. And if they think you understand their business, you're much more likely to solve their problem, which is why people will respond in the first place, because they want their problem solved. This will help increase your positive reply rate, increase your overall email engagement, increase your results, and allow you to be much more effective in your outreach. enrich to find companies' ICP, right? So you'll just want to use the ChatGPT generate text enrichment for this one. And here's the prompt. Pretty simple. So determine the job title or type of customer that this company usually sells to, using the input as a guide for what they do. The input is this, and then you insert the company description. Who gets the most value out of the product, and what is their usual job title? Give me up to 3 job titles or types of customers. Do not include any numbers or additional information, and return a comma-separated list of titles or types of customer. And so this is the result that you get. And so you can use and you can insert those customers into your copy. You can also use it as a qualification, which we'll talk about in a bit. All right, so let's recap. Up to this point, we've completed a company level analysis. We found a list of companies on Crunchbase who are using HubSpot. Then we enriched the company data to get company descriptions to determine who our prospects sell to. Now we will use Clay to complete a web search to find the CEO of a company so you can actually do outreach to them, right? So in many cases, you can use the find people enrichment in Clay, which will be free, but that doesn't always find 100% of the prospects because Clay is not native LinkedIn tool. They're collecting data, right? So it's not always going to have one for one the exact same data inside of LinkedIn. So in this case, we'll want to go outside of LinkedIn to try to find relevant decision makers at a company. This is particularly useful for you if your ideal customer doesn't live on tools like LinkedIn, or if you're just like in a smaller niche, right? So what you'll do is set up a prompt. So type into Google the domain name CEO. Give me the person's full name of the CEO as the output. If you can't find the CEO, search for owner and then insert domain name. And give me the person's full name of the owner as the output. If you can't find the CEO or the owner, search for domain name president. Give me the person's full name of the president as the output. If you can't find CEO, owner, president, search for domain name partner. Give me the person's full name of the partner as the output. If you're struggling to find any contact, type in domain name, company name, CEO, founder into Google. And give me only one person's full name as the output, nothing more. If you can't find anything or are at least not 75% confident, then put NA as the output. So in this case, found company leadership here, one it couldn't find, but overall it's a pretty good find rate. So just to confirm, we'll do a quick Google search to test for our accuracy. So this first one, company's named Observe, and it found Jeremy Burton. So Jeremy Burton, CEO of the company, looks pretty good. So once we find the CEO's name, we'll want to find their email address. The name is great, but we still need to actually reach out to them. So we need their contact information. With Clay, we can use multiple data sources as a waterfall to find that relevant contact information. To run a data waterfall, you will run a query across numerous data sources looking for that contact information. If the data isn't found in the first data provider, then a query will run for the second data provider, and so on and so forth. And this will help you max out your total addressable market and potentially even double your list size. So we'll do that inside of Clay with their built-in waterfall enrichment. So again, like some of the tools that I like, Find Email, Prospeo, ICPs are all pretty good. You'll just use those tools, work through the different data providers. And again, like if you have the API key and you're already paying for the data, include that. But otherwise, try to get as much data as you can based on how big you want your list to be and how many credits you have left. And so your table will look something like this. As you can see, right, you have some data here. It didn't find, this data provider didn't find this contact. This data provider didn't find this contact, but this one did, right? Somewhere down here. And so you just have all of the relevant work emails, and then you want to, again, make sure you're validating it. That's the workflow. So now let's do lead scoring. All right, so how to score any B2B lead list so you can focus selling to only your best fit potential customers. Qualify your lead list better so you can save time, you can focus on best fit prospects, and improve your close rate without doing any manual data entry. Cold outreach can be a massive channel for any go-to-market team if you know how to avoid wasting time on bad fit leads. You've been there, you hop on a call with an interested lead only to disqualify them because they're not a good fit. It's the nature of sales that only a fraction of your total addressable market is a great fit to buy and ready now, but that doesn't mean wasting time with bad fits is a good use of you or your team's time. So what if there's a way to maximize the likelihood that every single call you hop on is going to be a good fit? That's where lead scoring comes in. It's the process of assigning a score to a company or a contact to determine the likelihood that they will buy from you. Historically, this is done manually by an SDR or a sales rep. Sometimes you might have a sales ops team. They'll come up with a basic scoring model based on your CRM or a couple data points provided inside of ZoomInfo or Apollo, right? Doing account and lead list scoring is now extremely easy, accurate, and cost-effective to do inside of Clay, 100% automated. And once you've scored your list, your sales rep can simply check into their account to see which leads they actually need to do outreach to and who they need to focus on, right? So this frees up your time to focus on selling rather than trying to identify the warmest, best fit leads, right? So ZoomInfo and Apollo as providers fall short. To build hyper-targeted lists, most of the time, those databases, they don't give us enough to work with. Company level data is often self-reported, can skew your results. For example, a company reports an industry as software development because they're building a software product, but it's actually a SaaS business. This means that you could be missing out on an entire set of great fit leads that slip through the cracks simply because the company data doesn't match your filtering criteria. And so now it's extremely easy and cost effective to do this kind of scoring inside of Clay. So why you should actually score your leads in the first place. ZoomInfo, Apollo, Seamless, they're typically inaccurate. And so instead you'll use Clay to replace a human who would do the research, they check the account, they check the website and the LinkedIn, make sure it's qualified or not. And ultimately scoring allows you to focus on those best fit leads, increasing sales productivity, and improving your close rate. So your sales team ultimately should not be wasting time manually checking to see if they're a good fit. If they're left to guess, there's a much higher chance that some of those good fit leads are missed. They might even slip through the cracks, right? So this is the reason why it's so important when your sales team has a clear goal and a clear list, then they can free up their time not doing that manual research. They can only do the outreach selling into those high quality accounts. They'll never have any question of who they have to reach out to. And again, there's no human error in this situation either. And so by scoring these leads, again, they're going to focus all of their energy on only the folks who fit that high best fit criteria. All right, so think about it like this. Say you have one company that looks very similar to another. They are both in the information technology industry. They have 100 to 500 employees and they're growing their headcount. What really sets them apart? Ultimately depends on your situation, because let's assume you're looking for a company who has Facebook ads pixel, they sell to sales and marketing, and they use HubSpot. You can use Clay and ChatGPT inside of Claygent to assign scores for each of these criteria. And companies that have all three of these are a great fit. Companies with only one of three are an okay fit. Anything less is a bad fit. Spend more time on those great fit companies who satisfy all of those criteria, less time on the okay fit, and no time on the bad fit. And let me just show you how to do that in a few seconds. And again, right, so when you have a hyper-specific target audience, you'll be reaching out to prospects who are a good fit for you. If every lead is a good fit for you, then you won't be burning calories on bad fits, which will give you more bandwidth to go hard on selling only good fit prospects. So how do you do this inside of Clay? First, as it starts with any of this process, you'll make sure to define your ideal customer profile. Look at your best customers, the industry, their size, their location, the technology they use, the company information, the titles of the folks that you're actually working with. Determine other niche criteria, right? If that company is always visiting your site, they're filling out a form, they have a sales team of at least 3 people, there's Facebook ads pixel like I mentioned, they sell to sales and marketing leaders, and they use HubSpot. Those are all just different examples of niche criteria you could look to. And then you'll want to assign scores to each criteria. Then test the effectiveness, review your results, and adjust your scoring model over time based on close rates. All right, super basic lead scoring criteria here: job title, management level, industry, and then we'll score it. Scoring leads by job classification means you'll only be reaching out to those best fit titles that will resonate with your messaging. Someone who has a content or brand in their title is not going to have the same responsibilities as somebody who is a CEO. We'll score the leads based on the presence of specific keywords, and in this case, we'll only want to reach out to CEOs or founders. And then to do this, we'll use the formula generator. And so like if the job title contains CEO or chief executive officer or founder, output true, otherwise output false. Management level classification. So we'll categorize based on leadership or based on what they're responsible for. This is easy if you already know what your audience cares about. For example, a founder or a CEO is going to care about the high level business objectives, while a manager is much more focused on tactics. They're usually going to be in the weeds. Knowing the difference will help you write better copy that speaks directly to their pain points. So you'll use an AI generated formula here. If title contains president or VP, output president. If title contains manager, output manager. If title contains chief or founder, output C-suite. If title contains director, output director. And then create department keyword categories and continue to add keywords till you fill out every single row. And then you'll filter out any empty ones and keep adding keywords until your data set's fully filled out. Industry classification using the LinkedIn description. A company might be included as a marketing agency in your data source, but this is not always 100% accurate. You can search for specific keywords to further segment your list based on keywords in their LinkedIn company description or SEO description to determine fit. So again, we'll use the formula generator. In this case, if company LinkedIn description contains marketing or agency, output true, otherwise output false. And you can see here, like this one does not include that, so it was marked false. It's marked false, gets less points, less credits, potentially exclude it. All right, scoring leads based on classification. So now that we've created categories to score our lead list, we can use Clay's free lead scoring enrichment to assign scores to each lead that we'll want to prioritize. We'll assign a positive or a negative score for each category based on if its results include a specific tag or not. And so this is what it looks like inside of Clay. Right? We've mentioned there's 5 different scoring criteria. This is the column comparison type. So in this case, we want it to be equal, either true or false. And then you give it a points if it's true, give it negative points if it's false. Again, this is like the weight that you'll want to do based on how important these criteria actually are for your targeting. So now your list is scored and prioritized so your SDRs can start reaching out to those best fit prospects. So in this case, you'll see, okay, these are high fit scores. We'll reach out to those. This is negative. We won't reach out to them because not a good fit. All right, let's talk some outreach playbooks. Lookalike ICP outreach. So why does this one work? This is the bread and butter classic outbound playbook. This one works because if you're targeting prospects who look similar to your best fit customers, your prospects will trust you way more. And you can prove you can get them their dream result with a lookalike case study, which ultimately increases your conversion rate. So to do this, select your top 3 to 10 clients based on revenue, engagement, and other key metrics. Then you'll use those lookalike tools inside of Clay, or you can use a third-party tool like Ocean, create a lookalike audience. Then you'll score and qualify based on the same traits and triggers that you use to actually build out that TAM. As an example, if your top clients are mid-sized tech companies with strong online presences, make sure you create a lookalike audience of similar companies and then prioritize them for outreach. So if you're selling to local businesses, this one works if you're targeting companies located in a specific area or work with local businesses. By using this playbook, you scrape company level data directly from Google Maps. Then you'll use Clay to enrich the data and use it for personalization, ensuring you're targeting the companies directly in the area your business services. So the first thing you'll do is scrape the list of companies using Apify, Google Map Scraper. You can use Outscraper, you can use Instant Data Scraper, whatever tool is best for your case. Bulk import those into Clay as a company list, and in a new table, find people using your scraped company list. You'll search for relevant decision makers. Then you'll use Clay's find work email enrichments, use that waterfall, validate the email, and then personalize based on their Google reviews, their location, whatever your relevant use case is. And then you'll push those leads directly into Smart Lead. You can set up your Smart Lead API, push it directly into a campaign, and just have it on autopilot. As an example, if your clients are roofing home service businesses located in Florida, then you'll scrape a Google search of all of those roofers in Florida. All right, so e-commerce. This is for anyone who targets e-commerce businesses. By using this playbook, you scrape data from e-commerce database, store leads, and use that data to score and personalize your list. So first, you'll scrape e-commerce data using store leads. You'll import that into Clay as a company list. You'll enrich data like customer reviews, technology, products they sell, niche-specific problems. You'll score those leads based on presence of key data points. You'll find relevant contacts at those best fit companies, and then you'll do personalized outreach based on that scraped data. So if your clients are in health and wellness as an e-com brands, then you'll scrape a list of those relevant companies. And then, in terms of the personalization, you'll want to reference something like their customer reviews, the technology, the products they sell, or those niche specific problems that you found in your research. All right, so SaaS or funded company outreach. If you're targeting funded businesses or SaaS businesses, scrape data from Crunchbase or AngelList to find companies with a recent funding trigger or specific industry filtering. So scrape that funded company data using that tool. You can use Instant Data Scraper to do so. Import that list into Clay as a company list. Then you'll enrich for more data. Again, customer reviews, tech, products they sell, niche specific problems. So score leads based on the presence of those data points. You'll find relevant contacts at those best fit companies, and then you'll do the personalized outreach using that scraped data. So the example, if your clients are in B2B SaaS, use Crunchbase to find your ideal company, then enrich inside of Clay, find relevant decision makers, and do personalized outreach based on the targeting data that you enrich for. All right, open role outreach. So this is a playbook used for recruiting agencies or any businesses who use open roles as a trigger. So this playbook allows you to find open jobs data and enrich that data with key decision makers to do outreach. So in this case, open job search in Clay will enrich for relevant decision makers at companies with open roles. We'll enrich data for recent company growth, number of people currently in the department. Then we'll score those leads based on those data points. We'll enrich contact, we'll validate the contact, and then we'll use that growth data as your personalization. So if you're an SEO agency, you target businesses that have an open SEO analyst role. Then you'll use that open role as intent for problem awareness, saying, hey, you have open roles, we can help you solve for them. All right, intent audience. So this is one of the best ways to target prospects who have an intent to buy your service because they're already consuming content from people who already post about those topics related to your niche. So you can use tools like Expandy, Phantom Buster, Trigify to scrape the engagers of posts from LinkedIn influencers in your niche. So then you'll upload a list using Expandy, or you'll push into Clay via Phantom Buster's integration, or if you're using Trigify. You'll enrich the contact and the company data inside of Clay, and then you'll map the full name, the company domain, and then enrich for those emails and phone numbers. Filter down based on your ICP and then personalize. And the example here is targeting niche leaders in your ideal customer profile. Scrape and filter their engagers, and then do outreach to anyone who fits your ICP, and that's that playbook. Inbound lead enrichment for any industry. So this works especially if you have a lot of visitor data, which means that people are aware of you and your service, right? So if your prospect is visiting your site, they are at least interested or at least aware of what you are doing. Score your leads based on the presence of relevant key data points so you can prioritize your outreach. So we'll use Clearbit, RB2B, to enrich the profiles of website visitors, and import CSV of website visitors, set up that API, push that data inside of Clay, and use that traffic as intent. Filter down based on your ICP, score your leads, and then find people, enrich for email and phone numbers, personalize based on why they're a good fit, and then do outreach to them. Pretty simple. All right, so here are a couple good prompts that you can use. This is a swipe file. So if you want to find a company's strengths, this is specifically to speak to a company's value proposition. You'll use Claygen. So the prompt that you'll use is, using this company description, tell me about one thing that a company does very well for their customers. Format your answer as an action. For example, if the company is good at building sandcastles, say building sandcastles, keep the output under 4 words, and here's the description, and then you insert the company description. Determine a company's industry. So again, relevant if you're trying to understand what they're operating in. Use Claygen, visit the website of this company at, insert the company domain, and additionally do general research on the web to determine its industry. Do not return anything else other than the industry. Find a company's customers. So this use case is scraping a company website, and if it contains information about their current customers, output a comma separated list of up to 3 companies that use them. So again, Claygen is the enrichment here for this prompt. Scrape this company's website for any mention of big name companies using their product or service. This information may be stored in images or be on their customer page. If companies are found, output up to 3 companies in a comma separated list. Otherwise, output none found. And then insert, here's the company website, and then insert the domain. 10K annual report. So this will find the 10K, which is a filing document for public companies, and it'll give you a URL to the report. So you're a financial analyst and you need to find the company's latest 10K report. Go to this website, insert the website, and find the link to the latest 10K report. Only report back the URL of the 10K. So then the next step from there would be to actually reference the 10K link, say, give me a summary of what this is, pull out some of their big initiatives, pull out some of the things that they're actually trying to accomplish. Next, we'll list companies' products and services. So we'll scan a company's website and output all products, services they offer. So in this case, the enrichment is Claygen. Then the prompt is go through a company's website and find all products and services that they offer. Output those services in a comma separated list. Here's their website. Summarize pricing plans. So this use case is get a bullet point summary, all pricing plans that a company offers. So again, Claygen, really, you can see Claygen's powering most of this. And so the prompt is scrape this company's pricing page and summarize their pricing plan options. Output a bullet pointed list, each pricing option with information on the option. For each option, line in a bulleted list, output the following comma separated pieces of info, the name of the plan, its key offerings, and how much it costs. Here's the pricing page, and then insert the domain. To find the name of the company's founders, we'll specifically just use Claygen. Here's the prompt. Find the name of any and all founders of this company, insert the name of the company. If there is more than one founder, output the names in a comma separated list, and then output just the name of the founder if single founder, or if a comma separated list of the names of founders if multiple founders, nothing else. to find when a company was founded. So this will determine the year that it was founded. Plagent, the prompt here is scrape the web to determine when this company was founded. Only output the year it was founded and nothing else. If you cannot determine when it was founded, output none found. This is relevant, especially if you're looking for companies that have been around for over 10 years. This indicates maturity. This will indicate that they've been around for a while and they could be in the market for your service. This is a good one if your trigger is company actually running Google ads. So this checks if a company is running Google ads. Basically just prompt it, check if the company at this domain, insert the domain, are running Google ads. If they are, output yes, otherwise output no. All right, so this will determine if a company is a retail company. So we'll actually use Clagent again. In this case, scrape the company site to determine if the company with this domain is a retail company. If it is a retail company, return true, otherwise return false. This is a longer one and is relevant if you're looking to determine a company's revenue. This is really only good if your company is public, because private companies don't publish their revenue numbers most often. And so here's the input. You got to give it the objective, give it some instructions and an example, and then it'll give you some numbers if that is available. So normalizing a company name so they can be used in emails, you can use the Clagent prompt here. So take this company name, insert the company, and normalize it so it can be used in an email. Cut out any unnecessary elements so it doesn't sound like it's been pulled from a data source, but rather that you know the company. Cut out elements like corp or other things that sound too formal. Job title the company sells to. So the use case, understanding exactly which titles a company sells to makes the prospect believe you can understand them in their market, which sets you apart from the other people who hop on calls who have no idea about their business or who they're speaking with, right? So the prompt is using this company description. Tell me the typical name of company names customers. Format your answer as a plural noun. For example, if the company works with families, say families. Keep the output under 2 words and always use a noun. Here's the company description. And then you insert the company LinkedIn URL. So then we'll find a person's LinkedIn URL. So this will be based on their name, their job title, and their company. So find the LinkedIn profile for the following person. Insert the full name, who is job title, at company name. Make sure their LinkedIn profile you find is the correct person. Only return the URL of the LinkedIn profile as the final response. For example, insert LinkedIn profile. Find a company's LinkedIn, find a company's CEO on LinkedIn. Scans the web to find the URL of a company's CEO LinkedIn profile. So given this company, insert the company, find their CEO, and then find their CEO's LinkedIn profile. Found, only output the CEO's LinkedIn profile. If you cannot find it, output none found. So this will scrape a person's LinkedIn profile to determine their top abilities and determine their skill set. So again, you might be looking for demand generation leaders, which is a completely different skill set than content. And so you can qualify or disqualify depending on what you find. So in this case, scrape LinkedIn, insert the LinkedIn URL, and output a comma-separated list of their top quantifiable skills. And then you can list up to 5 of their top skills. All right, so find where a person is located. So this will scrape a person's LinkedIn to determine their location. And then the prompt here is to scan LinkedIn, insert their LinkedIn profile to determine where this person is located. Only output the name of the city that they're in, and then output not found if you cannot find the information. And next we'll find a person's company domain. So scrape the person's LinkedIn here, insert the LinkedIn profile in order to determine the company's domain. First, determine their current company, then determine the domain of that company, and then output only the domain. Find an event person has attended. So this will scrape a person's LinkedIn for any event or conference they've attended in the last 12 months. So we can visit the following LinkedIn and return the name of an event or conference that the person has visited in the last 12 months. Insert the LinkedIn profile. This may be found in recent posts or elsewhere on their LinkedIn. If none are found, then return none found. Find all companies in a particular industry a person has worked at. So this will scrape LinkedIn for all of their companies that they've worked at historically. And so the prompt is, given this LinkedIn profile, determine all companies this person has worked at for in this industry, and then you want to insert the industry if it's relevant. I'll put the companies in a comma separated list. All right, so these are some swipe files. This is what I've used historically to book 30 plus meetings. My clients are getting 10 to 20 meetings a month. And these are some of the most basic frameworks that we use. They're tried and true. Email 1. Hey, first name, I saw you're leading business segment, so I'm sure you care about problem that your offer solves. We're helping target vertical companies like case study, generate result, and time frame. Are you interested in seeing a case study showing how we did it? Simple. Next email. If we can help you achieve result without bad thing like we did for case study, would you be interested in speaking? Email 3. We're currently helping case study achieve result. We've helped vertical for time frames so we can help you achieve result without bad thing 1 or bad thing 2. If I can help you achieve this result, would that be worth a 5-minute chat? So that's it for this video. If you guys liked what you saw here, if you want help building out your own clay tables, you want your own system that will 5x your existing team's results, increasing your revenue per sales rep without adding any new headcount, then I encourage you to just book a call at levergrowth.io. I'll hop on with you. We'll determine if it's a good fit. We'll unlock your constraint that's stopping you from growing to where you want to go, and we'll put together a plan to actually do so. But that's it for this video. If you got some value in it, I'll chat with you in the next one. Peace.